The potentially largest protests in Minnesota history. St. Paul serving as the flagship location for the nationwide No Kings rallies. It is one of the many demonstrations across the country, but among the biggest. The Minnesota State Patrol estimates about 100,000 people showed up today. Thanks for joining us on air and streaming on KARE 11 Plus. I'm Morgan Wolf. While people came out for many different reasons, today there was a common theme. Deeply rooted in frustrations for what they call government overreach by the current administration. We have team coverage tonight, but we're going to start with our Audrey Russo, who spent the day talking with people that showed up and had a lot to say. Right, Audrey?
Yeah, that's right. There were thousands of people here at the Capitol. And while this was billed as a protest, the tone was largely positive from beginning to end. Take a look at this. We followed a group of demonstrators from Harriet Island Park walking to the Capitol grounds. There were two other large groups like this in other parts of the city, all converging here at the Capitol. Now, this was a pretty family-friendly event. There were a lot of young kids and strollers, grandparents with their grandchildren. Now, like some of the protests during Operation Metro Surge, there was anger with the Trump administration and with federal immigration enforcement as a whole. But today, demonstrators tell me that they felt a greater sense of optimism and unity. Take a look.
You see other people, you're not alone. They're empathetic and to your causes and your beliefs, and they care about the things that you value and care about. So it makes you feel good to be part of it.
Now, obviously, since Operation Metro Surge ended, a lot has unfolded on the national and international stage. The Epstein files, the Iran airstrikes, the partial government shutdown. Demonstrators brought up those issues, and they say that what happened here in Minnesota back in January was just one of many reasons as to why they wanted to come out and participate today. Morgan?
All right, thanks, Audrey.
On the streets of Minneapolis.
One of the biggest attractions, Bruce Springsteen performing the song that he wrote about Minnesota, as well as local Democratic leaders joining in on speeches today, which included Governor Tim Walz and St. Paul Mayor Kali Herr. Our Joe McCoy joins us with what their message was to the crowds. Joe?
Yeah, hey Morgan, Bruce Springsteen received the largest roar from the crowd when he performed his song called Streets of Minneapolis this afternoon, which he wrote during Operation Metro Surge. And the speakers, they all had a pretty common message. They talked about the resilience of Minnesotans and the fight Minnesotans put up during Operation Metro Surge. Many of the speakers talked about their opposition to the war in Iran and the fact that Trump campaigned on not starting new wars. They also talked about continuing to fight for democracy and freedom, which they believe is under attack by the Trump administration. This coinciding with their message urging people to vote in these upcoming midterm elections. Take a listen to what Bruce Springsteen had to say this afternoon, as well as some singing from Joan Baez.
Federal troops brought death and terror to the streets of Minneapolis. Well, they picked the wrong city. The power and the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis and of Minnesota was an inspiration to the entire country. Your strength and your commitment told us that this is still America. And this reactionary nightmare and these invasions of American cities will not stand.
And there's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are changing.
Now, actor Jane Fonda also spoke. She read a letter from Becca Good, who is the wife of Renee Good. Morgan.
Yeah, and Bernie Sanders also there in attendance, speaking for a good amount of time today. You know, a question I do have for you, Joe. Did you see any anti-protests that were in response to the No Kings rally today?
We did not, Morgan, and to my knowledge, neither did any of our other reporters. It was all people in solidarity with this No Kings movement, Morgan.
All right, thanks for that update, Joe. Well, Republican leaders are responding, though, to the rally, calling it pure political theater. Alex Plekish, the chair of the Minnesota GOP, called the protest a, quote, distraction from a failed DFL record. He says that the rally ignores higher property taxes, higher tab fees, and new taxes that make Minnesota more expensive. He went on to say, quote, "They can put on a show for a day, but when the celebrities leave, Minnesotans are still left with the consequences," end quote. From coast to coast, millions turned out for rallies today. In the fall, similar events drew nearly 7 million people. Organizers are estimating even higher turnout from today. Jen Sullivan has more.
No Kings protests held in cities across the country Saturday as demonstrators push back on what they call authoritarianism and overreach by President Donald Trump and his administration.
What is happening in America right now is wrong. It's destruction of democracy.
More than 3,100 rallies were planned in all 50 states, according to organizers. In Minnesota, rallies attracting high-profile figures like singer Bruce Springsteen.
Ice out now!
These demonstrations come as Trump faces increased scrutiny over a range of issues, including the war with Iran, which was not approved by Congress. Since the war began February 28th, oil prices have surged as traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has been curtailed. The supply disruption has caused gas prices to soar. The national average for a gallon of regular gas is now just under $4, jumping more than 33% in just a month, according to AAA. And a partial government shutdown has led to weeks of long security lines at airports as TSA agents went without pay. Many have been calling out, leading to staffing shortages.
We love our job, but it's just so hard at this point.
Trump signed an executive order Friday that would allow TSA agents to be paid while Congress debates funding for the Department of Homeland Security. But all of this has led to mounting frustration, bringing more people out to demonstrate on Saturday. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Now to spring break travel. Travelers at some airports are still dealing with the massive lines amid the TSA callouts. This was the scene at JFK Airport in New York as the crowds wait to get through security. My goodness, just look at it. TSA agents have now been working without pay for weeks. Since the government shutdown started, hundreds of agents have called out or quit altogether.
I think it's horrible. You know, so many people are working very hard. I know the TSA agents are working very hard. So definitely hope they get paid what they're deserved very soon and quickly.
Wait time's not that bad at MSP. The partial government shutdown drags on today, though, despite a late night vote from the House of Representatives. The Republican-controlled House approved a short-term funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security last night. Unlike the bipartisan legislation passed in the Senate, this bill would fund all of DHS, including ICE and Border Patrol, through May 22nd. Despite the vote, there is still no end in sight to the shutdown. A GOP aide tells NBC News that the Senate Majority Leader has no plans to call senators back from Easter recess, saying that there is no realistic way the House bill will pass the Senate. You can definitely feel the chill in the air today, though the sun is shining. A bit deceiving, right? We saw highs in the 50s today. The winds, though, make it feel a lot cooler. It also is bringing a risk for some fire danger. So why don't we head right out to Jamie to talk about that? Yeah, you guys have some of those warnings that you're keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, the winds still rather strong, especially across the southern half of our region right now, and our red flag warning will stay in place for just about another hour. You see there until 7 p.m. this evening. Doesn't cover much of the region, just high winds, low humidity. You can take a look right there. 58 degrees right now. Southwest winds, they're easing just a bit. They'll continue to ease through these evening hours. Take a look at that in the hours to come. We'll dip out of the 50s, we'll drop down into the 40s, but those south winds will ease up as well. We'll see a little bit of cloud cover coming our way as well. In the forecast, though, we're going to talk about some very warm temperatures, a temperature roller coaster ride, and a few shots at some showers coming up.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Well, we have new video today showing golf legend Tiger Woods being released from jail late last night. This is after he was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence in Florida yesterday. The Martin County Sheriff says that Woods was driving a Land Rover and clipped a pickup truck, causing his vehicle to roll over on its side. The sheriff says that Woods showed signs of impairment when investigators got to the scene. Woods was previously involved in a very serious car crash not too long ago in 2021.